to Friday and a Friday night Rogue MG broadcast. What's up, gentlemen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just waiting to give TJ a chance, but it's Friday night, end of the week, tired, the usual.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I figured we had not done a Rogue broadcast, so we haven't done anything in a while. So figured we get something on the board.
Yeah, I almost sent you guys a text or message via the Twitter on Wednesday just to say, hey, do you guys want to get together tonight and talk for like an hour just to like catch up on what's been going on?
Right.
But I'm like, nah, TJ's probably off dancing with someone. And although with you being in the Pacific Northwest, when I think of you dancing, I can't help but picture most of your dance partners, or at least the ones there, looking like the dancing hippopotamus from Fantasia.
Nice shit.
Except with like purple hair and stuff, because obviously, Pacific Northwest. But I know, yeah, I know you'd set that dance out, TJ, but it just,
Yeah, there's actually very West Coast land dancing on Friday nights. It starts at 9. I just don't go to it because I don't like West Coast land a lot. So I don't want to be on a that part night because I'm all drunk.
I didn't hear a goddamn thing.
I understand that a lot more girls are way more interested in West Coast swing than East Coast swing or other types of dancing, but it's at the point where I've never been the kind of guy who goes out and does stuff that he hates doing just to like be around girls. I don't want to be because you are guaranteed to be unhappy or miserable with what you're doing. You're not guaranteed to get a girl at the end of the night.
Shout out
That's
Darren
kind of where it's like, yeah, I'd rather go do something that I know I'm going to enjoy, and that I do regular ballroom and swing dancing, and there's girls I dance with where I'm not interested in them romantically, but we have a fun time. So I've never understood guys who feel the need to do stuff that they really hate just to be with a girl that they actually don't like, but she's hot. Like the whole but she's hot thing never worked with me. So
that's usually guys that are sex deprived or sexless dorks. So
I do feel like their self-worth comes their self-worth is found between a woman's legs.
Well,
I think that's the problem.
I can certainly see that being the case with some people, but I think part of it on a broader term is the way we derive status, in our possessions and in our careers traditionally, in the 21st century, the rules have changed. The game is different, but by the old standards of things, a man was judged by what he did. And it's like, here's a man who works, at a major advertising firm or a lawyer. And, he's got this beautiful wife and this nice house in the suburbs, and he has the 2 kids, and he golfs on Saturdays and is a member of the country club. And all these things were different status points for men in the 20th century. And of course, now almost all of that is completely out the window. But some guys still cling to the old ways, or those old ways have morphed into something else, and they're replacing that status point of having this woman as being, well, this is the only woman I've got. So that desperation or misunderstanding. I mean, obviously, all the things Vince and I, and to you to a degree, TJ, everything we were taught by the boomers' parents applied to, would not apply to the world we'd actually live in and inherit. So we've kind of had to figure things out on our own, which is one of the stereotypical things about Gen X that has a lot of truth to it, at least in my experience. I don't think I'm speaking too far out of turn. Do you, Vince? I mean,
no, you're pretty spot on.
I mean, I'm speaking in very broad terms, but
you're painting with
in general.
To go with Chris M. Vogan's in the chat, and he just was bringing up wet palettes for painting miniatures and stuff. But to go along with the artist context, you're painting with a broad brush.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I mean, that's I think most people. It's probably a good way to do things. What the hell's going on here? Hang on a second. What the hell are you doing?
Guys. Sorry, man. My internet was just like having an aneurysm.
Yeah, you're not kidding. But yeah, no, you're right, Robert. And TJ's, I understand what TJ is saying, and I also understand that men enjoy the company of women, and some will do whatever they can to do that.
Well, I mean, if there's a really, really pretty girl and she's pleasant to be around, that's one thing. But when it's like I'll take anything that has, like anything that's a biological female, I don't know. It's just this weird. I think the other thing is kind of the mindset of like how a man perceives himself. Does he see himself as like a high value man who, is the prize to be won, or does he see himself in this weird submissive role where it's like I have to convince that I have to prove my worth by earning this woman over? I guess that's the mindset difference that I've always been more of a, not to be, it's not an arrogant thing. It's just like I have self-respect and I have a high view, but like I have it's like a question of like, how is she benefiting?
Well, that's your public code, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
So
yeah, it's kind of this mindset of like, how am I being won over? Like, because this is my philosophy. A man's freedom and independence are his greatest inheritance or his birthright. And when you are in a relationship with a girl, whether it's dating, marriage, whatever, you are giving some of that up. So what is she doing or have done to earn that from you? And for some guys, their freedom and independence is they don't value it, and it shows, And so I guess that's kind of where I look at that stuff. But I've had a different mindset on a lot of these things where I just don't think the same as a lot of other men. And if they want to go do, I think the problem is also if they want to go do that with their own lives, that's fine. But they have a problem when other guys are doing things differently.
Well, that's because I think some guys were raised as house cats and were declawed before being kicked out onto the streets. So they don't have any fight in them or see themselves, or maybe on some level they understand that they're at some sort of a disadvantage. And so, it's much better to be in the house and, you get your kibble and your meat, your meal once a day and your water, and occasionally, the woman will rub you on the head between your ears, and you get to spend the rest of your day sitting there in the windowsill watching all the birds fly by that you can't chase. And there's nothing worse than seeing a cat out there chasing the birds and knowing you can't do that, and
yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, Rollo, for example, talks a lot about the the dynamic with women as far as how they compete on a sexual level, as far as, telling the ugly girl she looks amazing and you go queen, because that eliminates competition for you and stuff like that. But it's not like men don't have their, how we compete for women and resources and stuff like that.
What's funny is also how a lot of men. Well, you talk about the difference in competition. I don't think this occurs necessarily with girls, but guys will want to live vicariously through other guys, and to the point where guys who will want other guys to get with girls that they themselves can't get. I mean, that's I've seen that play out, and it's like I've never seen a girl.
I see that.
I
see that in the work. I see that in the workplace all the time.
And I don't see that I don't see that with women. I've never seen an example of where a girl is trying to set up her friend with a guy
she tries to get that guy is what she tries to do.
Right.
She tries to poison that existing relationship.
Well, part of that is the difference between the way our brains work, in that we have inner lives in our heads. We conceptualize things in levels that women can't. It's like that meme you occasionally see about, wait, you talk to yourself in your head, or you hear voices in your head, or it's and we can do that. And it's it's funny that you mentioned that, TJ, but just recently, I'm not going to name names, but I talk frequently about my buddy Jim Thorpe, which I'll mention his name because he's a cool dude, or at least was when I knew him. And I've talked to you guys about the fact that one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made in my life was not getting with him when we were in like 6th, 7th grade and saying, music is everything to both of us. Let's put everything we've got in it. To hell with school, to hell with girls, to hell with whatever. Let's just do this. And if we make it, great. If we make a career as like session guys, awesome. If we just play bars on the weekends throughout the Midwest, so effing what? Girls will come, we'll find ways to make money. Let's just do this music thing because it means more to us than just about anything else in the world. And he and I were in band together, and there was a girl in band, and I won't mention her name, but I hard fall for her. And one thing led to another, and I asked her out, and she initially said yes, and then she said like the very next day no. And she said something. It's the wrong guy or something like that. And the way she phrased it, I never quite understood it. And for the longest time, I thought her friends had basically put her off me and talked her out of it. And that was that. And so it had bugged me for years, the way those kind of things do. Eventually you don't think about it, but it comes back every once in a while and it kind of nags at you. About a decade or so ago, it finally occurred to me, because I had seen something she had written in recent years, and I put 2 and 2 together. And of course, I've got a lot more life experience. My understanding of women, having been married a couple times, is drastically improved. She had a crush on Jim Thorpe. And she was interested in me in that he and I were together. We were in the back of the band. When she's glancing up, looking at me, she's glancing up to look at him and stuff like that. So all these things I misinterpreted in my youth, all these things that I kind of like, what the hell was wrong with me? Now that I know that, had I known that in 7th grade band, I would have been, you like Jim? Jim's a great guy. It's like, I really like you, but if you and Jim get together and are happy, then I don't take that as a loss,
Right.
But so it's
that's what's so fascinating. It's like
with our friends,
guys don't give each other bad advice. They don't intentionally. They give bad advice, but they don't do it intentionally.
At least not to our friends, not to our bros.
Yeah.
We might schmuck. We usually don't.
Men, for the most part, we have a sense of honor that doesn't exist in girl world. That's why I've always postulated that marriage vows are worthless for women. Marriage vows are for men. Women don't understand not even one iota of a marriage vow. I mean, intellectually they do, sure. And if they were to sit down and go, okay, yeah, I get that. But on a feeling level and an honor level, and it's not there. It's just not there. So that's why.
That's a really fascinating idea of like a wedding where the only person to give a vow is the man, because it sets this expectation of like only one person has given a vow, and you almost wonder how a woman would interpret that if a guy says, "I'll marry you," but you are not allowed to give a vow. I'm fascinated by how they would interpret that. They might actually see that as a challenge of like, oh, he thinks I'm not capable of making a vow and keeping it. Like, I don't know.
Well, the only way they would even come close to keeping a vow is if there was some societal pressure on the outside. If, by the fact that in our small village that we live in, if that woman breaks the vow, she's, basically driven out of the village, and she's, kicked out of the church, and, she's publicly humiliated and stuff like that, because then the vow, it has to be, for most women, any kind of vow like that has to be enforced by an external source. For men, we have an internal source, and that's just a part of the dynamics within our own
for the longest time. It was social pressure and familial pressure, and religious pressure that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Yeah, I think that is, that's stuff that guys have to, who I feel like in our society, and we're going to witness the effects of this, but a lot of guys have just phoned it in when it comes to just going through the motions in life, because they don't think about that stuff. And then they end up in relationships where, it's been 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and they're not happy with their husband. And I'm just seeing that a lot. And it's sad, because it's like, nobody's winning in this scenario. So,
indeed, get some background music playing.
Well, it's kind of like the situation, with that CEO and his president of HR or whatever. Everybody's talking about the CEO's wife and how she should take him for everything and so on and so forth. But no one's talking about the fact that HR president's husband, what's going to happen to him? Because if she divorces him, he didn't do anything wrong. She was the one that cheated, but she can still divorce him and take half his stuff,
Yeah.
And it's you go girl. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, the societal pressures that exist vis-a-vis the judicial system are all strongly slanted to one sex. And
I think the thing that this is just something that I think about as a guy who still is, not again. I am still, willing to get married at some point, but I'm also not going in with closed eyes or blinded by the realities. And the reality is that the thing that will keep, that will have her keep her vow is the realization that she can be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the thing with guys. It's like, this isn't fair. It's not moral. It's not just. It's not anything. It's just, if you get married, you have to be on your A game for the rest of your life. You have to make it clear that you are higher status, higher value, and that she can be replaced. And this means like where you get to a point where women are, your interactions with other women, even when she's there, are making it clear they want you too. And that creates a sense of like anxiety where she realizes, oh, I've got to stay in shape. I've got to make him happy. I can't sit there and complain all day because he'll go find another girl. Like, this isn't how it's supposed to be, but that's kind of how it is. It's just, you may love her, but you understand if she is not making you happy, or she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing, if she's not fulfilling her obligations, she can be replaced. That's where we're at. That shouldn't be the mindset in a normal world, but we're kind of in survival mode in the modern West. And I've said this before to people. when you're in civilization, there's the rule book. But when you're in a survival situation, you play by different sets of rules. And until we go back to a truly civilized situation, we're playing by the you're adhering to the survival guide, not the whatever. And so that's just what guys have to think about is like, you can't get married and then just be like, oh, I'm gonna phone it in for the rest of my life because death till us part. So,
well, I don't think you ever stop gaming them, which some people might think sounds kind of evil, but
you're making it clear that like you're making it clear that you're in, for lack of a better word, you're in the dominant role and that they are with a man who's higher status than them, and also they can't find a better man than you. And I think that that's just how, at the very least, a guy has to act like that, and not in a negative way, but like in a positive way. In contrast with how guys say, "Oh, this is my better half," you say something that's like the opposite of, "Oh no, this is my woman.
This is my slave."
That might be a little.
You could pretty much, if you're saying something with a mischievous glint in your eye and in your voice, you can get away with saying anything, TJ.
That is actually very true.
Ask me how I know this.
I know. I've seen you. I've seen you do it.
So it's anyway. Make women property again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Solve a lot of problems. Who's that in the background screaming?
They're kids. Not my kids, but
okay. Fantastic.
They're playing with Willow.
Oh, okay. How's Willow doing?
She's doing good. She's training her. Good practice for her.
Do you still right? Do you still do the classes with her?
Oh, got her. It's interesting. There's official training, and then there's day-to-day stuff where you are with her and setting boundaries and saying no, 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 or warning her what she's supposed to do. Not coming or other things.
You're breaking up. I didn't hear a goddamn word you said.
Reward good behavior, punish bad behavior.
Speaking of which, my cat has decided to piss all over the floor. I'll be right back.
I was just talking about pet behavior. And the cat does something very, very cat-like.
Yeah, Chris, you're right. That's kind of what it is. And again, this isn't like being malicious or having bad intentions. It's like, hey, I want to have a relationship and I want to invest in it and I want to make sure that there's long-term security in it. So what are the things I need to do to make sure that it has long-term security? That's kind of how you look at it. And we're not in a society that I could rant, but I won't. We can talk about this stuff.
Yeah, it's well, I think one of the things is guys don't think about. I think they look at things as when they get together with women, they're starting a new life or whatever, and they don't think about the fact that they're bringing a woman into their life. And so how does this woman fit into your life? And it's always the guy fitting into either her life or her family's life or whatever. And it just, I don't know. Things have just changed a lot, and there's been a lot of changes within recent history that have had effects of which we're starting to see some of the negative outcomes for them. And I mean, it's all stuff Rollo and some of the other guys talk about all the time. So I'm not going to rehash all that because you can just go listen to
I think
them. But you know, the thing is, you gotta, you know, does a woman add value to your life, or does she take value from your life? And it's up to the individual. And while, I mean, it's funny when I think about some of the guys I know that are single in the sense that they're, you know, not married, but they definitely have women in their lives and even have what I would call long-term relationships with these women. But you know, it's not necessarily what other outsiders might think of as a traditional relationship, although it could be argued that you couldn't be more traditional going back far enough in how you look at things. So you know, it's just you know, does a woman bring value to your life? Does she take value away? I'm sure if any of the women in Vince's life, for example, since he piped up and, you know, taking ownership, if certain women in his life, no matter how long they've been there, how much fun he's had with them, if all of a sudden they start becoming a net negative on his life and his happiness and, you know, what pleasure he has in the time he has left on this earth, I see Vince, you know, I'm sorry to end it, but it's done, over, I'm moving on. And because, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not saying, you know, Vince will be happy to see her go or sad to see her go. I mean, that's, you know, that's between Vince and whoever Vince would want to share that with if something like that ever happened. But I don't see Vince staying there and being miserable.
No, I did that when as a youth. I don't do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
No.
How many times does a flame have to burn you before you realize fire's hot?
Exactly. And in my youth, several times apparently. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm the common denominator here. This shit isn't working for me. I can't try to fit this into my life when it's not working. So
I think that one of the problems with modern relationships, especially marriage, is this idea like, oh, I don't have to put effort in anymore because we got married. It's almost, I've made the joke that weddings.
TJ, that's all right. That's male and female human nature at its base, and I saw that with my parents stayed together, but I saw that with my parents growing up, and that's
I don't understand.
That has never changed. That's never changed. That's always been the same. That's always been that way.
I don't get it.
Part of it is intrinsic in the marriage vows. You set everything on the marriage vow and say, okay, I'm done. We have the vow, and this is in the guy's head. I have the vows. She's here. I don't have to. Guys think they don't have to keep doing the same thing that they did to get the girl in the beginning. So now the woman thinks, all right, this son of a bitch lied to me. You can't blame her to play devil's advocate.
That's the thing. Yeah,
this guy did all this shit to get me, and now he's not. What the fuck? So I understand that, but women, and of course, then you have the age-old lament that women get married and get fat, and they do. So that's the woman's side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think honestly, that's the issue. Is like they both, or at some point, one of them says, I'm not going to put any effort in anymore, and the other one goes, well, fine, if you're not going to put any effort, I'm not going to put any effort. And my thought is like, why would you not use that long-term stability to pour a lot of things into the relationship that over time bear fruit in a positive way? And you know, people think that that's naive or whatever, and I'm like, no, that's just it's somebody wanting to take the easy way out and not also take any risks, because investing in that kind of thing, it does have risks. where there's a possibility that they decide to walk away, and you've put a lot of time and money and energy and passion or just emotions into it. Well, but like they're also settling for substandard, mediocre relationships where I can see this. It's like you can tell that, especially when like the wife is not, she's got something inside of her that she can't express because he doesn't bring it out of her, and that's a very dangerous thing to have, because what happens when she meets a guy who does bring that out of her? You know,
all bets are all. Well, that's the thing too. There's a lot of men and women running around out there that are just miserable. I mean,
yeah, that's what it shocks me. Is like,
well, do you enjoy being you? Do you enjoy life? I mean, I know it sounds kind of fortune cookie and just kind of a bit contrite, but I'm being serious. Like, do you have guys? Do men have a sense of adventure that they had as little boys, and they moved through the world as they got adults, and they didn't let that go? I think the most successful relationships between men and women that I've seen that have lasted are both the couple enjoy. They actually, first of all, they like each other. Don't even worry about love. They genuinely like each other. There are definitive gender roles, and they enjoy each other's company. They actually have fun together.
Right.
Where do you see that? I mean, outside the small circle and people that we know,
I think
out and about, where do you see that?
I think what you see now is people who say, I've got problems I don't want to deal with. You've got problems you don't want to deal with. Let's be together and we won't hold each other accountable. I think that that's kind of the basis for a lot of relationships, is this weird sense of like enabling of each other's bad behavior. And that's why you see people engaging in behavior and you're like, why does he tolerate that? Well, because she tolerates this in him. And so he can't judge her, because if he does, then she's going to point out his flaws, and then they're both going to have to deal with their problems. I think that's why you see a lot of relationships where they genuinely don't like each other, but it's because they don't want to deal with a problem, and that is their primary drive in life. Their primary motivation is to not deal with a problem. They just don't want to. So I think that which to me is like, I'm sorry, I will not settle for anything other than the best for a relationship that I'm going to be in. I can't. That's one area of my life where I will not. I'll live in a house like I do now that has no dishwasher, no food disposal, that has a lot of things where I'm willing to accept the downside. I will not accept a relationship with a woman that isn't the greatest it could be. The way I see people where they're spending, this is people who spend their entire lives miserable. It's like, why are you not? At what point do you not? They don't reach a crisis point where they go, you know what? This is not life not worth living. I think that's another thing, is there's people out there who are willing to live lives that, for me, life is not worth living if you are going to live that way. It's a life that goes below what I would be willing to accept. And I don't know. And so much advice in life, there's so much what's considered normal that to me, I consider beneath myself.
Interesting point.
You know, like, I'm going to say something that kind of seems contrite or like sappy, but like the idea of being in a relationship where you are spending your time trying to get to know them on as close of a level as possible, so that by the time one of you goes, you've become as close to being as one person as humanly possible, where you know everything about them, and but you keep learning more and more things, because you both are growing, you both are changing, and so you learn all that stuff, and you use that to make them happy, and they use their knowledge of you to make you happy. Instead, people use knowledge of each other to manipulate them. You know?
Well, there's obviously that, yeah.
Maybe I'm sounding naive, but it's like that's the ideal relationship to be in, as opposed to where you're just, it's almost like this weird like Stockholm syndrome type thing. Not Stockholm syndrome, but more of like they complain, but they never do anything about it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
See, you're gonna marry her and like her, see, and she's not gonna give no vows, see.
Oh, you dirty whore.
Can you imagine a wedding? You know what? I gotta write a pulp story about a gangster who presides over a wedding, and he talks like that.
Oh, look you filthy rat. Well, you
let's hear it.
we would almost have to make it an audio drama. You'd have to at that point. So do it. Write up a couple like a very short story, and we'll do the voices. Yeah.
See, you're gonna marry her and like her, see. You're gonna pay the bill, see.
All right.
So
nothing apart, see.
What's the mean? Are you hard? You're gonna take care of it, see.
Oh. Get Aaron Clary in on it. We could have him do a voice.
He can play the bride.
He can, exactly. His high pitched voice that he does. Get Robin on. Get on that with all your other
I gotta think of a clever title for it. Like, it's like a mob boss who has to marry this gal off to this guy because the daughter is the son of like a rival gang member, or sorry, rival gang. And he's just like, you know, they I don't know. I think that would be funny where he's trying to avoid a gang war. So he's like, no, you're gonna marry her, see.
You're marrying the mob houses together to avoid conflict.
Yeah, and also he's a complete, you know, like he's a classic gangster. So they're trying to like refine him and like you're gonna do this, see. You're gonna go to the white picket fence house, see. You're gonna, you know, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure, boss. Yeah, sure. And he goes, no. That would be funny.
That would be funny, especially.
And then of course, you know, there's going to be like a potential shootout during the middle of the wedding, like a literal the shotgun wedding.
Yeah, there you go. You should have a shootout within that. Get some cool sound effects.
Yeah, that would be so fun. Okay, that is going to be what I'm going to do when I get back home.
What are you on vacation?
No, I'm just out about on weekend.
It sounded like you're away, and you're like, when I get back home. See?
Yeah, back home tonight. Yeah, when the traffic dies down.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Fantastic. Well, we got 21 people on Twitter watching us.
Any good things in the chat? Because I can't see it.
Just Chris for the most part. I'll throw some stuff up. Hang on. Oh yeah, you can't see it. What do you mean? You can't see the chat? Wait, hang on.
Well, it's in the corner, and it's. Really small.
I see what you're saying.
Because unfortunately, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was right about. We discussed the whole Dread game thing.
Yeah. All right, I got nothing. I'm gonna drink my wine.
That sounds like a plan.
Right. What are you drinking, TJ?
I've been drinking a couple things. Right now it's a Chardonnay. Okay. I'm at a brewery distillery.
Some of the best kinds are the ones that have multiple liquors, as it were. There's one in Pennsylvania that it's a winery, a distillery, and a brewery, all three under one roof. How about you, Robert? What do you got going?
Just drinking water to rehydrate myself from some work I was doing earlier in the evening. So,
fair enough. There's nothing wrong with agua fria.
Yeah, I was seriously thinking about pouring myself a bourbon, but I just decided now I'll just finish off this water and I'll have a bourbon tomorrow because I should have a more physically at least relaxed day. I've got some work I need to do work-wise, but that's all mental stuff, not necessarily physical stuff.
Sometimes that can be just as tiring. Now, do you have any of that blackberry, is that bourbon or whiskey?
Blackberry whiskey? Yeah, I still do.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually always try to keep a bottle on hand of that, and then a bottle of my regular bourbon, also made by the same distiller. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I don't drink a lot, and I don't drink often, but when I do, it's usually because I'm just like in a mood that it's like sitting down by the fireplace or sitting down in the one of the rooms downstairs. It's kind of like a library, although both sides of that area are filled with board games, as you guys have seen from some of the pictures.
Oh yeah.
And but there's one particularly comfy chair that's right under a air conditioning vent that's also has a ceiling fan, and so it is particularly cool and usually pretty dark in that room even during the day. And it's a nice, comfortable place to sit and have a drink. And around the holiday times, there's enough, when the Christmas decorations and stuff are out, it's got a particularly nice ambiance with the colored lights and stuff like that. So I enjoy having quiet moments there. And usually, with the exception of the dog, who will usually come and sleep at my feet after getting loved on by me for a little bit. He my dog is something else. He does not like women try to give me a hug or a kiss, and he's like, bitch, what are you doing? It's so damn funny. I had no idea how possessive this dog would be. But
he's your bodyguard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
that's cool.
And he does not like to share me, and but he's just great.
I forget, what breed is he now?
He is a golden doodle.
Doodle, that's right.
Yeah, he's part golden retriever, part poodle, and so very bright, very mischievous. He's very clingy where I'm concerned, but he also has an independent streak, which is kind of cool, which is the whole reason I liked him to begin with. Because he was the big boy in his litter. I think he was like 13 ounces. The rest of his litter mates were in like the 10, 11 range. And then the runt, I think, was like 7 or 8. And so he was the big pup in the litter. And his litter mates would always group together and do everything together. So there are videos of them playing out in the backyard where they were born, and they're all playing together. And then my dog would take off on his own. And so while the breeder was like focused on all the puppies, and she's counting them and calling them by the name she gave them at birth, she's like doing something. All of a sudden she'd yell because something bit her on the toe, and it was my dog. So he'd sneak off by himself, and then he'd sneak up on her and bite her on the toe. And I'm like, I like that dog. He has a certain, he has an independent streak, and he's got a certain spunk. And so he's my bud. He was supposed to be my son's, but for some reason he imprinted hard on me. And so he's absolutely my dog. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he'll hang out with me, and I'll have a quiet drink and maybe listen to some music or something. And that's kind of a nice way to unwind. It's nice to have those quiet moments to yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, you guys as bachelors can understand that.
Oh yeah. It's
definitely
very important for our mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
What the hell? Getting serenaded.
Yeah, sounds like TJ's in a honky tonk or something.
I guess the distillery is now playing music.
Pretty excited about that new 4K release of Master and Commander.
Yeah, that's what the music I have playing on the background is. Yeah, that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that as well. It comes out next month, right?
Extras. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping it has some decent extras and such, but we shall see.
It'll probably have something on there. I mean, I can't see them just releasing the same shit again. I guess they could, but to have I would love to see outtakes and funny deleted scenes.
Yeah,
I love movies that put that in at the end.
Yes,
like the end of Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan.
Dude, I just watched that movie for the first time in years, and
it's great.
I'm trying to like figure out what it is about old movies. When I say old movies that were made before, like I just feel like there's something about them that you couldn't make these films now.
I know exactly what it is, TJ, and it goes back to the pulps. So, at their core, especially the action, the detective, and the sword and sorcery kind of stuff, one of the main things, there was a definitive good and evil. There was a bad guy who was a jackass asshole, and there was nothing redemptive about him. There was nothing like, oh, I can see why he's that way, and there's this weird woke gray area with movies now where everything is like love is love, yes is no, and no is yes, and everything is like up to interpretation. So the bad guy could kind of be good and the good guy can kind of be bad. And I think on a gut level, that doesn't speak to the male psyche. It just doesn't. Most of those, if not all of those 70s, 80s, not up to the 90s movies, up to those 90s movies, they were funny and they had a definitive good. There was a quest to defeat the bad guy, and that was it. That was it. There was no gray area. So that,
I think it really speaks to like the weird cultural zeitgeist that we're in, where it's like America is the most evil thing in the world, and it's absolutely vital that everybody be allowed to come here.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's funny.
Well, but it's like that's what it really speaks to, is this idea of like it's holding two contradictory attitudes at the exact same time. You're evil, and I have to be around you.
Yes, yeah, it completely does not make sense.
So
and it's very disconcerting too.
Well, I think we're gonna get to a point where people are just gonna be done with. I don't know. I don't want to say done with it, but like I'm done with it. But this is also why I get VHS movies on VHS and DVD that are past before that, because I can just watch them, and I think, I don't know. I was watching that. I was also watching Kindergarten Cop, and I was struck by like
it's not the tumor.
Not the tumor. There's something
no
about these films. You know what it is? Also, the adults act like adults.
Yeah.
Like they have a sense of dignity that it doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. Well, it goes back to that. Everything is nothing and nothing is everything. Just like it's just mishmash everything together. There's no good and evil. It's all matter of perspective, and everyone has their own secret truth and whatever.
Well, I think
good and evil does exist.
Well, it's like it's infantile and effeminate is what we see nowadays. It's infantile and effeminate. That's what.
And those are the only kinds of writers that are getting hired,
right,
in Hollywood.
Yep.
Which is sad because, when I think of like, Leigh Brackett is probably one of the best known female writers in, both for her science fiction fantasy stuff and writing screenplays. I mean, the woman wrote A Treatment for The Empire Strikes Back. She wrote Rio Bravo, which is arguably one of the best Westerns ever made. I mean, it was such a good story that Howard Hawks literally made the movie 3 times. Rio Bravo, El Dorado, and Rio Lobo. It's, the story was that well put together. And there again, you have men being men and being friends, and that sense of loyalty and that sense of friendship and that sense of standing together and standing by your friend in times are tough and troubled. And it's like that kind of stuff just does not exist. So everything is written by someone like either Lena Dunham or a man who thinks like Lena Dunham, and that's
a male, not a man.
Yeah, exactly. A biological male, but that's about all you can say about them. They, you know, the average Karen has more testosterone, and yeah, so you know, sadly, that's one of the things that'll be lost. You know, when guys like Clint Eastwood finally moves on past the rim, because you won't have really anyone left like that anymore, at least not as directors and such.
Yeah,
so true.
So yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I enjoyed the movie Serenity. I enjoyed the series Firefly. I honestly think it's probably the best thing Joss Whedon has ever done. And part of the reason it's probably the best thing he's ever done is because it didn't last long enough for him to screw it up.
I agree.
But and it worked within its context and everything else. But the whole I could never get over the past the thing with his dialogue sometime is everybody talks like they're a snarky 13-year-old girl. And that's part of the problem I had with some of his with the stuff with the Avengers is different characters have different personalities, and it's one of the problems I had with like a comic writer by the name of Bendis who was doing Avengers for a while, and when everybody's like out quipping Spider-Man and Spider-Man's a part of the group, it's like that's not their personality. Even guys who have a sarcastic or a quippy sense of humor, they don't do it like Spider-Man does. You know, Peter Parker's sarcasm and snark and talkiness comes from being a nervous, geeky guy.
Right.
You know, because he was the ultimate nerd. You know, 90-pound weakling, glasses, everything. And now he's given, you know, all this power and now he has all this strength. But guess what? When he's still fighting, he's still the 90-pound weakling in his head, no matter what powers he has, because that's who he is. It's just like Steve Rogers, Captain America, is the scrappy kid from, you know, from a rough part of New York who is just a genuine good person. And he that sense of fair play and self-sacrifice and everything else, that doesn't change after taking the super serum and becoming Captain America. He's still Steve Rogers, you know. And it's so it's some of the stuff some of the writers do does not make a lot of sense, which is probably one of the reasons the American comic industry is having so much trouble.
Yeah.
And then of course there's YouTube, which sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna, I feel like we're reaching a crisis point with everything and things are gonna change.
Well, there are channels. If you guys do a look, there are tons of channels on YouTube, much bigger than ours, with much larger audiences and everything else, and more videos and everything else. And a bunch of them have been making videos about, I'm ready to give this up because of whatever YouTube's done. It's like, do I fight this? Do I keep doing it? Is it worth it? Because YouTube's done everything possible to make sure creators don't have either an audience anymore or have done something so whatever monetization these people had is gone.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just really, really funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Indeed. All right, gentlemen, we're at the hour mark. Well, 57 minutes and 40 seconds. I think we're going to call it because we're all fucking tired. And TJ needs to get on the road home so he can write the radio drama.
The shotgun wedding.
That's right. So, I have no idea when our D&D games are going to kick back up again. That's, what is next for MG? I was just getting to that. I have no idea. We'll keep everyone...
You got a book. You guys have the next book coming out, the next anthology.
Oh, well, MG, yeah, that's it. Well, we also have another project called Back to the Pulps, which we'll probably do a bit of a... We're not really releasing a book. We're releasing a web membership website that has to deal with pulps. And I've been working on that. So we'll have like a release party for that project soon. And there's some things involved in the background that I have to finish up, but that's coming to be released soon. Our next anthology will be out in December of this year. I'm finishing up my my next detective novella. TJ has one or two stories. I think Noble's story is done, and Ryan Stone may or may not contribute as well. So it'll be good. We'll keep you all posted on that. But as far as like MG broadcasts are concerned, I have no idea. So D&D is up in the air at this point. But when we broadcast, you'll know. Just keep an eye out on your, for what it's worth, keep an eye out on Twitter and your YouTube alerts. Make sure you have your alerts set for us. But,
yeah. Drew has to be healthy or not competing in a bodybuilding competition, and Rollo has to not be hanging out with strippers in Las Vegas, so...
Well, yeah, right. It's those are the two rubs, as they were. Chris, yeah, if you want to do your story and contribute to one of our anthologies, we'll keep you in mind. All right, let me go over here to media assets. All right, we're going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you, everyone who's watching on Twitter right now. The three of you on YouTube. We appreciate your attention, as always. I'd like to say we're going to be back next week, but we're not going to, so there. Anyway, TJ, as always, take us out.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Keep the lead shooting down range, keep the wine flowing, keep the fires burning, don't take any wood nickels, don't drink all the rum, Karen Clary, and tune in when we're here next again.
God knows when that'll be. In the meantime, to your health.
Cheers, everybody.